everyone, welcome to On the Other Hand. I'm Ariane Zurcher. In this video, I'm going to experiment as the camera's rolling. I have not done this, so it's a total just let's see what happens, and come with me while I try this embossing. I did a video on embossing silk velvet, some hand-dyed silk velvet years ago. I'll put a link to that in the upper right-hand corner of this video so you can see it. But in this video, I want to experiment with embossing paper, linen, let's try cotton. I've got some found papers that I got in my travels in Scandinavia, in Stockholm, and some other places that I then backed with a fusible. I want to see if I can emboss that. I'm thinking I can. I don't know. Maybe it'll tear. We'll see. I'm thinking about some tissue paper that I've done gel plate printing on. I can put the video for the gel plate printing also in the upper right corner. Who knows what's going to happen? Let's experiment and see, and come with me. I have all my materials here that I'm going to try. So a lot of these are silks. So I've got some cotton here. This is linen that I dyed. So I'm going to try all of this. And then here is my velvets. Then I have my tissue paper. I'm going to try it backed with a fusible as well as not backed. I have some found papers that I backed. I have rice paper here. I've got tissue paper that's not backed. I've got this is more cardboard stock. So I'm going to try all these different materials. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Now the other thing I have are all these different materials that I can emboss. So this is just a sander that I wrapped some string around, and I've used it as a stencil for painting. But I could also emboss because there's texture on here. I have a big embosser like this, more irregular. I've got these, my little alphabet, if I want some text. I've got tons of wood blocks. These are actually really interesting. They're pretty intricate, and they're great for embossing. I've used all of these on velvet. And as you can see, I've got a lot over the years collected of all different sizes. I have my hot iron here. I have a little mist sprayer. I have a better mist sprayer and I can't find it, so I'm just going to use this for now. All right, let us try this tissue paper that I painted and then backed with a fusible, and I'm going to try that first. And I'm just going to try something pretty standard like this, and I'm just going to do a little section. Okay, so this bit here. And I want this to go down on top of the piece, the part that I want to. So I'm going to hold this. I press down fairly hard. It's about 20 seconds. I'm going to pull that up. I can usually tell by looking at it, and I can usually see that there's a little indentation, and that tells me that it's embossed. But I'm going to give it one more. All right. And now I'm going to see what happens. I pull it off. And you can see I got a very faint outline. It's not much. I'd prefer more. So now I'm going to try it by spritzing it a little. I'm going to try it again over here. See what that does, if anything. I might have found I'm looking over in one of my cubbies, and I think I can see the spray bottle. So I can kind of see that it's a little bit indented, but just to make sure, I'm going to do it a little bit longer. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to pull this off. It's pulling some of the paint off. So it actually, I would say this is not working as I'd hoped. I mean, that's giving me a tiny little indentation, and so is this, but mostly it pulled the paint off, which could be interesting, you know? All right, so that's that. Now I'm going to try doing it with some found paper. And again, I think I'm going to do this with something sort of pretty basic, like this. And I'm just going to see what it looks like if I put it over here. I think I'm going to spritz it just because. Okay, that's about 30 seconds. And let's see what happened. So I do get a slight emboss. It is subtle. And I'll see what this looks like over time. Let's try something else. All right, I'm going to try some just regular old paper and see what happens. I'm going to use this and see what happens on that. I'll also see if I can find that spritzer, because this is a bigger area. Hang on. This is the spray bottle. And look at this when I missed it. So it's really a fine mist, and it covers a big area. So let's see how that works. Now, it may just take the paint off. I don't know. We'll see. I think the reason that the velvet works so beautifully is because it has pile to it. And the reason that paper is much fainter is because, of course, you're pressing something that's already pressed, paper. So there's not a lot of give. That's my guess. All right, let's see what happens here. Yeah, so that didn't do anything at all. Okay, so that's good to know. I'm going to try some rice paper. I'm going to try it dry, and then I'll try it again with water. Okay. All right, okay. This is not working. So it's what I suspect, which is it needs to have some kind of pile to it, some sort of give, even if it means it's just paper with a backing to it. Anything else I don't think is going to work. I will try it with tissue paper just to see, but I'm guessing it won't make a difference. Yeah, no. Okay. So we've tried this on a number of papers. I think we have our answer. That's not going to work. Right. So even when it's backed and this is spritzed, I mean, I'm getting a little something, but it's not much. It's kind of cool, though. It's subtle. Subtle's good. Let's try this linen and see what happens with that. I'm going to spritz it. Seems like about 30 seconds is a good amount of time. So it's very, very faint. To me, this isn't worth it. It's not worth the time and energy. I also think it's going to fade. As time goes on, it's just going to kind of disappear. All right. So I think that we can rule out anything, you know, like this, which is cheesecloth. I just don't think it's going to happen. All right, I tried different stencils. I tried my big wood block here. You can see it barely showing. And then I tried a little metal one, and that's over here. Also, not enough for me to want to keep trying. So I would say that that is not working. I also wanted to show you with wool because I know wool has worked in the past for me. Again, because there is some give to it. It's subtle. It's not as good as velvet, but you can get a little image on there. Position it on top. Give it a little spritz. Also, the more complicated the shape is, so for instance, this is going to work great on velvet. But for the wool, I probably should have stuck with something like this. Or this one. But we'll see. You can see it is embossed, but it came up too soon, so you can't really see it. All right, now I'm going to show you doing this on velvet, because velvet's amazing. Let's do it on a little scrap here. Okay, So now you can see why velvet is such a huge success, because you get that variation in the sheen as well. So even something really subtle like this one, it's going to come out. Now I had another thought. So this is a thick fusible. Now I have an even thicker one. This is a fleece fusible, and I just put it on top of this envelope. And I am going to see now if this works. I'm guessing it will. And if it's thicker, it'll work even better. Okay, so did it work? Well, I think there's more possibility. So we can try this with a thicker fusible even than this and see what happens. I also didn't leave this on long enough. Let me try it with just this. That definitely did work a bit better. That's something to remember. If you're doing it on paper or some sort of fabric that's doesn't have a pile to it, if you back it with a fusible that has some pile, it will work better. You're not going to get the shine like velvet, but it will. I'm going to try a thicker fusible even. Let's try it with this. This is the Pellon Flex Foam one-sided fusible, and let's see how that works. I'm going to cut a little piece off. Okay, this is with a thicker fusible, and it's on this tissue paper, this deli paper. So here's I have no idea. Okay. You can see it is embossed, and that is how I would do it if I wanted to use tissue paper and I wanted to emboss it. I would use this thicker fusible. Personally, I'm not sure it's worth it, but it's kind of cool, Adds another texture to it. I'm trying it with wool. I'm going to use a simpler shape and just see what happens when I do that. I will spritz it. I'm touching it because I can feel it's still a little damp, and I don't want to just completely scorch it. But I also don't want to pull it off while it's still damp, which is what I did here. And I can still feel this is damp, and it didn't come out as well. It was also more complicated. It's fun to play around and just experiment and see what happens with different materials, and then kind of try to solve the problem. And adding that fusible fleece definitely makes it so that anything could be embossed. The beauty of the velvet is that you also get the sheen that happens with the colors, so it really pops. So that worked. Look at that. That is cool. Okay, so that's fun. This is actually one of the better wools that I've done. I've done wool before, so I knew it would work, but I don't think I spritzed it before, so that was key, to spritz it, to put the iron on, pull it off, put it back on, pull it off, and just keep doing that until, and this is even still a little damp, so I could have left it on a bit more, but that's cool. I really like that. I'm very happy with that. All right, let me see if I can get one of the more complicated shapes in here, like this little fish, and see if I can get that. I'm going to actually use it over here. Again, spritz this. And I seem to be putting this iron on for about 40 seconds, 50 seconds even, before taking it off, feeling it. I can feel how wet it still is, very wet. Put it back on, pull it off. I think with the other one I did it maybe 4 times. And I probably could have done it 5. I can still feel it's wet. As I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about the linen and how if I backed it with a fusible, that fleece fusible, I could do it. But here's the thing. I have tried to stitch through that fusible before with other projects, and it's very hard. You can machine stitch for sure, but doing hand stitching, it really is not fun. So if I wanted to do linen, I would plan on not stitching or doing very, very little hand stitching. Whereas with both the wool and the, oh, that's looking good. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. With both the wool and the velvet, you can stitch right through it. There's my fish. That's pretty cool, right? I like that. That makes me happy. So, my little leaf. And this is just on a hand-dyed wool. This wool is from Steph Francis. I have my little fish here. And then I can do a bigger fish. And I'll do one of my mandalas because they're fun. Although I really want to try this and see what happens. So I'll try this next. And then I'll do one of my circles. Okay, let's see what happens here. Can usually tell pretty quickly. Yeah. Isn't that great? I mean, that's very, very detailed. Okay, let me try my little block here and see what happens. Again, I'll spritz it. I've never tried this block, so I have no idea. If this works, and I suspect it will, you can use anything. You know, you just need a flat, hard surface. You could put safety pins or, you know, whatever, anything. Okay, I can just peel this up a little and see. But yeah. There it is. Okay, and then the last one I wanted to show you, I think I'll do it on some pink, is my circle. want to do some text to show you that as well. Now, I have not tried these. These are different because they're rubber, so I don't know how well theoretically they should be fine, but I don't know. I've never tried them. Actually, I do know because I've used this block before and it works fine. So it will work, the rubber, for sure. What's cool about this is that it shows you that you can make your own. You can make all kinds of organic shapes that you then press. This was just a sander that I then taped some string over, and it works just fine. And again, you can always just kind of peek, but I'm guessing this will be, yeah. You can tell almost immediately. All right, let me do my block. I'm going to do an A and a Z for my name. These do not have to be pressed on as long as I've been doing. This is clearly done. I don't think the lettering is as successful personally. It's okay, but I think this is so much cooler. Oh, I can do this. I'll show you this one. There it is. So the point is, you make a lot of different patterns. You can do all kinds of really cool stuff. You can take a plain fabric, especially velvet, obviously. It works the best. But having said that, I just want to revisit my embossed paper with this thinner fleece. Totally works. And then, how great is this? That's just fantastic. I love that. So I would say the wool, the velvet, the wool, and then using a thicker fleece to back it, right? So it works on paper. It works on the tissue. Although, when it's painted, not as well. This is not quite as prominent as this. This really looks like one of those embossed stamps, that they use on paper. I think the process of the acrylic paint causes other issues. So, thick fleece with tissue, thinner fleece on paper, wool by itself, and of course, the velvet. In a subsequent video, I will show what I use these for. What do I do with them? How do I incorporate them into my work? And this all came about because I wanted to use some velvet. And I was thinking, oh, I love embossed velvet. That's such a fun technique. Let me show that. But now, the next video, I'll show you how I'm going to incorporate this into my art. That's pretty cool. This one I did with the thick fusible and some raw silk. So let's see how that looks. And it totally worked. So I think that the answer to this is using this thick one-sided thick fusible to fleece. But as I mentioned, stitching through here, hand stitching, isn't so much fun. But I do think that's pretty fabulous. And I love with the raw silk how this is looking. So that was fun and unexpected. I mean, this one really was a surprise. But here was the thing. Once I realized flat wasn't going to work, it had to have some pile to it. That gave me the idea of using the fusible fleece and then using an even thicker fusible fleece. And of course, that works. It's pretty cool. That means that the paper is also going to work better with the thicker fleece. The thing that one has to remember with that fleece, you're going to ruin your iron. You have to have a little something to put over it. Spritz it, make it damp, place it over. I used a towel because that's all I had hanging around. But if I were going to do this properly, I would have done it with like a very lightweight cotton or linen or whatever, whatever you've got, and place that on top so that you don't ruin your iron, because that one-sided fusible fleece, it's going to, when you're pressing it down, you need to have fabric on top of it. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe. I'd love to have you come along for the ride. I do at least one a month of these kind of techniques of how to do something. And the next video, I'll show how I'm incorporating these different materials into my next work. And tell me in the comments whether you've tried something and had a success or not, or if you try this, how did it work out? It's a lot of fun.